Is an MBA worth getting?
Do I regret getting my MBA? Hell no.
Do you actually think an MBA will help my career development?
Does going to a top 8 MBA program matter?
What do you think is more valuable? Actually building a company for 2 years or getting your MBA?
Oh, I can't believe I'm going to admit this, but...
Oh my God.
Demoted.
Welcome back to Demoted, everyone. Those are the first words out of my mouth today.
Does an MBA matter?
Does an MBA matter? That's the question.
Someone wrote in, I'm just going to get right into it. Hey guys, this show is saving my year to say the least. My question is, how much does an MBA matter for career development? And if someone goes after an MBA, how important is it that it comes from an accredited university? Wow.
Wow. That's real shit right there.
So 98% of Ross's personality, if you don't know him, is that he did graduate from Stanford and get his MBA. So
and I can't not mention it.
I can't every first sentence out of your mouth. That's what you'll say.
People ask me a question. I'm like, well,
back in Stanford.
Yeah, they didn't totally cover this at Stanford, but I guess like if I'm to infer,
then I would have to say.
I would have to say.
Totally. So you love your MBA.
I love my MBA. It's a great sticker. It's
What
in
year,
my office.
What year did you go?
I graduated in 2020.
Okay.
Best 2 years of my life.
Best 2 years of your life.
Best 2 years of my life.
You would say.
I haven't actually thought about any of the other years because I actually erased everything.
Blacked it out.
Blacked it out because I graduated
Stanford
from
is
Stanford.
not an accredited university. It's like kind of a low, like small liberal arts school.
Yeah, I mean,
No one really knows about like what is Stanford.
people always ask me about MBAs and I'm like, they're like, so what school should I look at? And I'm like, I don't know. Because on the list, like all the lists with MBAs, like Stanford's the first one and I've never actually scrolled past that. So it's hard for me. I don't know.
It's hard. I know it's easy when it's at the top. It's just listed there.
It's so quick to find. I was just like, I'm going to do that one.
I will pull back a quote, the receipts on something that you stated on this podcast before, which was, I would not have gotten my MBA at a school that wasn't a top 5.
That's true.
Do you stand by that to this day?
I stand by that. I might go top 8. Top 8 to top 10. It depends. So some schools are better than others at certain things.
What's
but I would
Stanford
say
good at?
Everything. At making money for people after they graduate.
Totally.
I think a recent stat we got was that Stanford has the highest average salary coming out of school, which I was not helping. Now I'm helping, but that doesn't count.
Yeah.
To answer the question, the original question was, does an MBA matter? It depends. It depends. It just depends. I think certain things, banking, finance, consulting, a lot of times there will be promotional roadblocks that say, if you don't have an MBA, we're not promoting you. You need to go get it. And therefore it makes sense if you want to stay in that career field to go get it. If you're in sales, it doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
Yep.
Most things in life, it doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
I mean, even in consulting, I don't think there's never a roadblock to a promotion with your MBA. It's like, it's always a nice to have.
Yeah.
I even think in private equity too, like there's no company that's like, you need this unless maybe you're pivoting from like investment banking to PE. You're pivoting from consulting to industry. You feel like you're at a like pivotal point in your career. I don't think any company is like, you need this degree to continue.
I obviously wasn't in consulting, so I don't know, but there are a shitload of consultants at school. It's probably the most represented job.
Well, totally. It's because they have to just stay and continue to get their every 2-year promotion and they want to like break out of it. They want to pivot out.
Yeah. I mean, well, a lot of them end up going back and like McKinsey will pay for your school, BCG, Bain, all of those like, I don't know. What would you call them? Are those the T3, top 3?
Definitely top 3. I was in the next 4 with Deloitte.
Right. Great spot though. Everybody knows it.
Great spot.
Everybody knows it. The MBA for me was a lot of different things. First of all, it was personally, it was a confidence piece. I was never an academic 3-hitter as I describe it. I wasn't intellectually curious until I was in my late 20s. I was like, I want to go find out what I can do. And I was stuck in sales and I didn't see any other way out. Like this was my 2-year break / as you mentioned, opportunity to pivot. Being around all these folks who are Ivy Leaguers and who were from these prestigious organizations was really just an opportunity for me to be like, yeah, I can hang.
Totally.
And I felt like the first year of business school, I was super depressed. I was sad. I was a sad boy.
Yeah.
Because you're ranked against everyone else. And that's really stressful.
But of course, you don't have to reveal those rankings when you go get your job.
That was the kicker.
Which is the strangest thing is that like people care so much because they're all such academics.
They're just achievers.
But no one cares unless you get the top 5 in the class or the top 10%.
Right. There were all these awards you could get for being in certain percentages of the class. And a lot of people who graduated would say, you did it wrong if you were trying to be that. Again, a lot of people still tried to be that, and I didn't try because I was never going to be there. I was just like, guys, if we could all just stop trying so hard, the curve would be lower.
Well,
we'd all be chill.
I do think there's a strange, like, everyone's like, yeah, no, I totally don't care. Writing furiously, taking notes, like making sure, like participating in every class, like hand raise.
I didn't even really study. Studied for like a week straight. Just didn't do anything else.
Like buckling down. Yeah. I mean, I went to one class. So my boyfriend's at business school right now, and I shadowed him in a class.
At Stanford, by the way.
At Stanford, a small little school.
The farm.
And I shadowed him in class, and like I was just kind of in the back. Like I borrowed a notepad from my mom, just like kind of like pretending. Like,
do you remember which class it was?
Doodling around. It was a real estate class.
Electric.
Real estate finance. And the amount that these adults, I won't say kids, shoot their hand in the air as fast as humanly possible. I have never seen a hand skyrocket into the air as fast as a Stanford MBA trying to get their participation grade up.
Yes.
I mean, it is crazy.
Participation grade is like a very real thing, and I was terrified. That was my first year.
My God.
I mean, it's a huge piece of your grade, and all you want to do is say something somewhat smart.
Well, exactly. And I feel like in undergrad, you could say like, I guess in my English class, for example, you put up like a painting or something from a, piece of literature, and you can just say like the juxtaposition between dark and light is incredible here. Or like you could say like 4 things and it would always hit. In business school, you have to be so on point and so intelligent, and the professor has no problem saying like, no, that's not it.
Yeah, and they'll push you on it. They'll be like, why?
Oh my God.
What makes you say that?
The professor in this,
I didn't get that far.
The professor in this class goes, can anyone list 5 findings from this text they read? And like, hands fly in the air. Someone starts listing because they're just like thinking on the fly. It starts listing 1, 2, 3, 4, really struggling for the 5th. Professor just waiting. I'll wait for you to find the 5th thing because you raised your hand.
Yeah, not gonna be like, all right, anyone just want to add one last one? No.
No. Yeah, let me open it up to the rest of the room. No, we're going to wait, and I'll literally stare at you until you think of a 5th learning. So scary.
The other one is they'll cold call you.
Oh, yeah.
Professors will cold call you. They'll ask a question, and then they'll just go to their little list and be like, and Ross, why don't you take that one?
Oh my God, terrifying. That is my worst nightmare.
Yeah. It was very stressful, and it was very much a pressure cooker in that first year. The second year relaxes in a huge way.
Definitely.
Just so much chiller. You pick the classes you want to be in. You're not in these core sort of academics, and you realize everything's going to be okay. And again, the grades don't matter.
They
don't fucking matter.
You can't tell anyone your grades.
No.
What are 3 things that you can get out of an MBA, but if you don't like really apply yourself and try, you won't get? Like, does that question make sense?
Yeah. With an MBA, it is all about what you put in entirely. So a lot of times people will spend too much time on academics and not enough time on the network, like meeting people.
Yes.
There's the joke is it's all about the network, right? But I think that's a little trivial because it's not the network. It's like, I have some friends who are going to be my friends forever. Mm-hmm. Like they're friends. They're objectively friends. They're not the network. We're not just like a network. We are a network, but that's like not, I don't know, that devalues it to me in like a non-human way. I think academically, you can go learn things that you didn't know otherwise. You can go explore new things. You can take a product management class. You could take a finance class, an accounting class. I felt like for me, trying to run a small business, which is what I'm doing now, it helps to know a little accounting.
Totally.
Helps to know a little finance.
Undergrad business, right?
No, I was psychology.
Okay.
I was econ for about 10 seconds. I failed my first final and then switched to psychology.
Amazing.
So I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to graduate.
I have to run. Yeah. Get me out of here.
Yeah. Supply and demand were not killing it for me.
So I think networking is a big thing, and also finding the balance between like heads down studying and networking
and participating. Yeah. Just like being around people, going on the trips. Like, the trips are a little outrageous at times, but it's just like, there's a culture of also coffee chats, which I know you know about.
Oh my God.
People will just randomly Slack you and be like, hey, I don't know you very well. You want to grab coffee?
No, the balls on these people is crazy. Crazy.
Wild.
Like, hey, I'd love to get to know your story.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
I'll meet you at the coffee shop.
Networking, I think learning is
just objective like academia.
Like as you enter later into your career, you can learn one thing and become really good at it, and like expanding your mind into these other avenues and like actually sitting down and learning and like taking a test. Like if I had to take a test, I'd panic. Yes. That is just so outside of like how my brain is utilized on a day-to-day basis that I think that's really important.
Yep. I mean, but it's not just, it's the network in school with your classmates, but it's also pushing out towards other folks who had graduated into other fields and certain things. I think one thing that a lot of people overlook is building relationships with professors. So I made sure I really wanted to leave with at least 2 professor relationships that I could text, call, whatever. And I did that. And that's a huge, I mean, it's cool to be able to go back and hit them up and be like, hey, I'm coming to campus. You want to grab lunch?
Totally.
And they're just, mentors, really smart people. And that's another piece. I think it's an opportunity to pivot if you want to, like to experiment and do something completely outrageous out of the box. People will come in from consulting, go do product management.
Well, do you think entrepreneurship is a big thing? I think
Stanford,
that at
it's huge.
Stanford, like
For
Startup
Stanford.
Garage is a big course. Everyone I talk to, I feel like is like hustling to try to build their own product or service or brand.
Yep.
Do you think entrepreneurship is like unique to Stanford, or is that an MBA thing generally?
It's definitely pushed a lot harder at Stanford. I mean, that you asked what Stanford's known for. Entrepreneurship is probably the biggest one. People want to build their own companies, do tech and so forth. But, I would say a lot of people want to do that and then they realize what it takes and then they end up going back to what they were doing
Structure,
before
yep.
or a little bit more structure. I think a lot of MBAs are so structure oriented that the thought of this chaotic world where there is no path, there is no like blueprint. There's information from various other startups and other people's failings and so forth and the learning, so to speak, but there's no ultimately direct path. Do this and this happens. Do that, then that happens. So yes, the entrepreneurship thing is huge and a lot of people will experiment with it and it's a great chance to do that, like Startup Garage, like you said, which is a class forces you to build a company. Whether or not you pursue it after school or not, you don't have to do that, but it's an interesting exercise.
Do you have to graduate? I think a lot of people at Stanford want to graduate and become an entrepreneur and they don't have an idea, but they want to like run a company.
Yeah.
There's a search fund thing, which we can get into, but do you think if you graduate from Stanford, you can just kind of get funding for a general idea and then build a product later?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can. There's a lot of people who just build teams first and then say, let's go figure out
a problem.
Figure out something. Or a problem. Or they'll like start with a problem, they'll raise some money on it and be like, this isn't going to work and pivot to something completely different and then ultimately create that company and go down that route.
Yep.
There's all these stories of people starting one thing and that turned into something completely fucking different. I think Netflix was like one of those stories. I can't remember what they originally started as. DoorDash was another one. No, DoorDash was one they actually knew from off the bat. But Netflix was one where they were like throwing ideas at each other every day. It was like the two founders were just like texting each other, just idea after idea after idea. And then eventually they finally like landed on one that they pushed through. But they kind of figured it out. It's like the idea is you put a bunch of smart people together, give them some money, and they're going to figure something out. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous to say.
I hear this. Even Stanford undergrad does that too. I mean, Stanford's just like a very unique place. There's a huge network of individuals who just like will do anything for Stanford grads. But I think like literally you could graduate with no idea and be like, I'm an entrepreneur and just claim that title and run with it.
Yeah.
And like you're fine. It's crazy.
It's and then you see it on people's LinkedIn, like CEO, founder of something. It's like one employee. It's like just you.
It's just you.
Like, okay.
Totally. When you go into Stanford and you're at your orientation, I don't know if this was similar to you, I'm comparing to Matt's story. They tell you to like avoid segregating yourself with people who like look like you, people who like, your same like-minded people. I feel like you go into an undergrad system and the sorority system and fraternities like naturally select you out and you're with all these like bros or dudes and you're very similar minded.
Yes.
Do you think at Stanford people are open to just like having these extremely diverse like mindsets and friend groups? And like, I think that's a beautiful thing that I've observed from the outside of like everyone brings something totally unique to the table.
Yep.
Do you think you have to like try to like have those diverse opinions heard and stuff? Or do you think people are just like totally bought in?
I think people are conceptually bought in. So half the class is international right off the bat.
Yep.
So half of them are like going to have a different, unique background, perspective, outlook. You still have to be somewhat deliberate. Like we all have our, internal biases. We all end up trying to gravitate towards people who feel like us, act like us because it's comfortable.
Totally.
And that's just always going to be the case because we're humans and we look for groups. So I think just by nature of them having so many different people with different backgrounds, you're a higher likelihood of doing that. But I do agree. Like right off the bat, you need to be, hey, I keep going to the same spot. I keep going to the same people. Like
you need to like tell yourself not to.
Yeah. Because there are so many cool, like I have yet to meet a filter or find a filter of people that's better than what I've seen at Stanford.
Yeah.
Like the first thing they tell you when you get there on day one of orientation, they're like, we could have picked 400 other people as qualified, if not more than you.
Totally.
Just so you know.
Totally.
But you're here right now. So, we're going to push you. We're going to force you to make, the first day I had a conversation with woman I had never met about like what our greatest fears were. And she straight up broke down and crying to me. In the hall, in like the theater.
Oh my God.
Where they're like saying, welcome to day one.
Welcome to the auditorium. Yeah.
Like that's how quick they're trying to like break you down.
Totally. Personal anecdote. I went to this Columbia trip with all these business school people.
The country, by the way, not the business school.
Oh, the country, of course. Because, let's all go for 2 weeks with a bunch of like 27-year-olds in the middle. Yeah. And so I went there and everyone's meeting for the first time. A lot of them, some have gone to orientation, but you haven't actually started school yet on this trip. And I go and like, I'm equipped with this story that is my core identity of like building corporate Natalie. And I have all these followers on Instagram. And I think that's like super cool. And like, I'll tell someone at a bar that they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah. I go to this trip and everyone asks you, what's your story? What do you do? Like constantly. So I have this ready to go. I'm like elevator pitching it. No one gave a shit. Like I genuinely, I am telling you, and it was so humbling, but so fabulous. Like they could care less. They've all built a company, sold it, like graduated from a top university, speak 18 languages, have an insane family story. Nothing I could have said would have impressed anyone. I mean, obviously they're like, but you know what I'm saying? They're
definitely impressed. They're just secretly impressed. They're just better at hiding it.
But it was incredible. Like everyone has a unique story and I think they build the class. Yeah. They try to diversify your stories and your backgrounds and all this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, they do such a good job of like, the people who are there are all so ambitious. People are like, what is a trait you look for in like friends, or people like, before people knew I was married, they're like, what do you look for in, a partner? I was like, the answer is always ambition.
Yeah.
It's like, these people are so driven, and we've talked about it before. You're the sum of the people, or you're the average of the people you hang out with. And I love being around them because they're not starstruck. They're not like, oh my God, like, corporate you're famous. So like, cool. No one cares. They're all doing their own thing and pushing really hard. They all think it's cool. Everyone thinks what everybody else is doing is cool when they're so separate and so different, but they're just driven people to do something cool, whatever it is, their thing. And I love that shit. I absolutely love that shit.
I absolutely love it. Does Stanford have any like curriculum for sales specifically?
They just started in the last couple of years offering a sales curriculum. They're not offering you how to sell, but it's a class called Building and Scaling Sales Organizations, which is, I took it. I was a little annoyed because it doesn't capture the truth of sales, which is it's fucking hard and fucking miserable. They're like, we're going to do a simulation where you decide how many hours you put into each deal. Who do you promote from here? Who do you not promote? And like the simulator does a thing. And I'm like, this removes the entire emotional aspect of this, which is so hard. And I was the only salesperson who was there. The only like true salesperson who was there. Obviously like VC has elements of selling and so forth, but it's interesting to see now even these MBA programs are shining a light on sales. They're realizing it's important because all these founders, they want to go create their own thing. And they're like, well, what do I do? I'm like, well, you sell now. All early stage companies are founder-led sales. Yeah. You're selling. Totally. So they end up coming to me and be like, well, how do I run a sales call? And that's a very humbling and cool thing to be like, oh, I have something you don't, motherfucker.
Totally.
Oh, you went to Yale and you're asking me for help?
And you coded this amazing product? Yeah. Well, just you wait.
And you raised $30 million and you're coming to me?
No, you have to sell it.
Yeah, it's just, there's no place like it. Because then you go off into the real world, everyone goes off and does their different things. And, you can say you got the network, but it is like, I've got friends in different countries who have gone back to their country to like apply the things that they've learned, and they're doing a really good job at it.
Yeah.
A few things that people ask me that are like, what's practical that you actually get out of there? Because, it's like the joke is none of the academics really matter. You can learn, like I said, you can learn about accounting, you can learn about finance, but they put you through some really interesting sort of hypotheticals. And one example being, you and your co-founder are trying to raise money. You go to the top VC, you've gotten no's from everybody except for this final one who comes to you and says, hey, Nat, we would really love to fund your company, but you need to get rid of your co-founder and best friend. And that's the only option.
What class is this?
It is like, there's managing tough conversations. There's like leadership labs.
Oh my God.
Which
okay.
is where they
lead
put
labs.
You
Yeah.
lead labs.
Okay. Wow. So they ask you that and you have to like simulate it, talk about it in class. Like,
and
what
they'll put
would
you
do?
different stakeholders. Yeah. And they give you characters who you're supposed to play, and you kind of like, you don't know, like the other person wouldn't know that this was coming.
And is there a right answer?
There's not necessarily a right answer.
Okay.
But it's kind of to see how you would manage it. Like, what would you do?
You want to ask me this right now?
Yeah, sure. What would you do?
I would say I would have a conversation with my best friend, sit them down, say, you can be the number one advisor, get a huge equity stake. You help me build this thing. Should I move forward with this? What do you think? We could both be successful.
Yeah, that's probably the most common answer. Or the other one is like, how can we transfer them to another portfolio company of this? Like, they think this person's not the right fit, but how do we find them another job in this portfolio company, like with the portfolio company?
Well, I mean, what if they just hate them?
They might.
They're just off-putting.
Also another thing. Yeah, I mean, we would do things. There's a class called, fondly known as Touchy.
I was going to ask you about Touchy.
Yeah,
okay,
Touchy is a famous.
What is Touchy at Stanford?
So Touchy the actual name is interpersonal dynamics. And you'll do things in there, like the influence line is a famous one. You sit there. So there's 8 people in your group, including yourself. And in silence, it'll be each person's turn. They'll say, Ross, you need to rank these people on the right side, the most influential to you, all the way to the least influential to you. And everyone has to be silent. And you physically take them and you move them in order of how influential they are to you. And everybody goes through this exercise. You write about it, then you discuss it and you break it down. And those are those things where people are like sobbing. People are like, why
don't I have influence?
Why don't, I like matter. And it's like, not that you don't matter. It's just like when this person does it, it's the way they deliver. It's how you come off. It's like your first impression. It's all the things you do.
It is.
The non-spoken things, the way you treat people, like all of these things.
And you just unpack the entire interaction.
Yes.
You're like, when you did that, when you placed me there and I felt this way.
Yes.
And you learn to like remove statements. It's actually very helpful. I think people in work will say like, you got to remove the emotion from it. Like this is.
It's just business. It's like the really crude way of saying
like whatever. But it teaches you how to like say that in a mature and non-emotional way. It teaches you how to involve emotion when you need to.
Yep.
Right? Like,
yes.
Very interesting.
Because you have to make a lot of what could be considered emotional decisions in life that you have to remove the emotion from objectively. So we're corporate bootlickers, right? So CEOs have to lay people off. Like they have to for the business to survive sometimes. Yeah. And that's a terrible feeling. And how do you navigate that? And how do you say there is no great way to do it, but it is just business. And like, you can have a mature conversation. I'll have it with Becca. It'll be like, we're going to argue, we're going to discuss, we're going to like break things down, but there's no lack of love there, right? Like the love exists and we know it exists, but like we need to be very real with each other right now. And how, like you said, how do we have those conversations?
That's smart. Matt did Touchy Feely.
He did. How did he like it?
My partner. And he loved it. And I swear to God, like our relationship is different because of it. Like the way he approaches even conversations with me, I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't care if we do pasta or chicken tonight for dinner. Like we don't have to, like this is right when he was fresh off Touchy Feely. I'm like, okay, wow, we're analyzing this really deeply. I'm good with anything, babe. Love you.
The classes were like 4 hours and you'd be so emotionally drained when they're done. It's like once a week, there's like a academic short class. And then you do what they call T group, which a lot of people joke is like therapy group, but more or less is. There's a moderator who's in there. There's like a trained facilitator is what they call them, who's like helping sort of direct things. And, you learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like intent versus impact. Like, that's the thing that everyone talks about. When you did blank, it made me feel, because you can't take away how someone feels from something, even if you intended something different. Totally. So your intent and your impact can be mismatched. And that's when you got to be like, oh, that,
I acknowledge that.
You have to acknowledge that.
And this might seem ridiculous. Like, let's just take a step out of this. If you don't know about this Touchy Feely course, if you are like, I'm not even considering an MBA, this might seem insane. But on the 2022 Fortune 1000 list, MBA grads make up 40% of C-suite execs, which like is a very large percentage.
It's a large percentage.
And I think what Stanford says is like, if we're teaching you to not only be a great business leader, but also a great human. Trying to. We got a few people out there who are not exactly repping us particularly well. Sam Bankman, you motherfucker.
Elizabeth Holmes. Damn it. There's a lot of them out there that are not exactly doing Stanford a great service. But the question that was asked, how much does an MBA matter for career development? It a lot. It can matter a lot. It can also matter for your personal development on how to manage. As you go up the chain, you start to realize like not every decision is win-win. Mm-hmm. Not every decision has any win. Sometimes it can be lose-lose, and what's losing less. Yeah. And how does it affect the humans that are involved in that? And that's when you start to get an appreciation for how hard leadership is and running companies is.
Can we talk about some stereotypes of business school and why people kind of poo-poo it?
Yeah, please.
Like from the outside. I think so. I'm friends with a lot of the significant others who have full-time jobs, are grinding, cannot go on all of these fun weekend adventures to crazy international places. And I think as an outsider looking into this truly insane environment, there can be a lot of judgment. Let's just address those.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll be the outsider in this situation. One, you have to be extremely rich to attend business school.
I would agree.
Do you agree with that? You have to have some, like either your company has to pay for it. A lot of private equity boys, I know their companies are helping them out.
There's a massive amount of privilege involved.
Because you have to like go, and if you don't go on the trips, you're not networking and you're missing things. And so like, got to address the privilege.
Some people even took out loans to like pay for trips.
Trips. Yes. I mean, it's true. Cause then if you don't, another stereotype, are you playing beer pong for 2 years straight? In a way,
on Thursdays. On Thursdays, there's a beer pong league. And yeah.
Like, is it just a party for 2 years?
There's a lot of partying.
The partying is insane. When it first started, when we went to Columbia, I'll give like a small anecdote. We were on a boat that was like, took us out to this like remote island, huge party there. Everywhere's an open bar, of course. Come back on the boat. I'm ready to I'm so tired. I'm miserable. I've been partying all day. Boat stops in the middle of the water, anchors down.
One more party.
One more party.
Yeah.
One more party right in the middle of the thing. I put my glasses on. I'm sobbing, tears streaming down my face.
I just want to go home.
I want to go home. It's so much partying. I can't do it anymore.
Yes.
Not to feel bad for me partying in the middle of the Columbian Ocean or anything, but like I did hit a wall.
There's a lot of FOMO in business school. So everybody feels like they need to go out and do the things, and like learning to say no is a huge piece of it. You weren't going to say no because you were in the middle of the ocean.
I couldn't swim back.
But there is a truly large amount of social, energy required. And it's absolutely exhausting. And again, this is not a pity party. This is just objectively true. Like, it is much harder for introverts in business school.
Totally to succeed.
It is.
So is it a 2-year party?
In a lot of ways, yeah. I would say, yeah. Because the grades don't matter. You do a lot of partying. I think, like, again, the more you spend time with people, the closer you get with them. Period. And it just happens to be that partying is a lot of the vessels for doing that.
Any other stereotypes that you know from the inside?
I mean, there's like the idea that MBAs are kind of like the heartless assholes. They're like, oh, and then a bunch of MBAs came in and took over the company and everything got fucked.
Yeah, totally.
And there is an interesting element of that. Like, I think to a fault, there is the whole joke of maximizing shareholder value. And that's what MBAs are taught to do. And it was really interesting. There's an ethics class, shocker. And basically everyone said they wouldn't do something illegal, but they all said if there was a way for the business to be more successful where you can play in the gray, they would do it.
Totally.
And sometimes that is what it takes.
It's a very different mindset from undergrad. I think undergrad is a very like liberal for the people, like almost like F big corporate kind of thing. Yeah. And then you go to business school and it's like, oh no, we're going to play in the gray. Like, we understand like capitalism.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's very different.
So,
and even like Stanford undergrad versus Stanford Business School is 2 totally different like pools of people.
There's a definitely different mindset for sure.
And you're getting a bunch of consultants, private equity people, investment bankers, as we're saying, like these people are obviously like in it to win it.
And they want to make money.
They want to make a ton of money.
And like that's the goal. And there's nothing wrong with making a ton of money. I mean, obviously like there are the ethical battles that you'll see and be like, this is not right. And people will hopefully not do wrong.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of interesting. One thing that I thought was so interesting about Stanford is it teaches you to look at a macro, like a true macro level. Like, this is going to sound so bad the way I talk about this, but micro being the individual like person. You do look at that and like in your interactions, but what Stanford teaches you to do, especially when you're talking about negotiating, like political negotiation, when you're talking about like moving a company to another country, you literally discuss who are the stakeholders you might have to network with, bribe, who are the like stakeholders that would allow you to build this plant in the middle of Africa.
Yeah. Which
tribes do you need to know? Like,
totally.
Like you are thinking about things at a level where it does omit the individual, which feels wrong at times. But there's also like a certain geopolitical landscape right now. Who do we support? How do we support? Who do we support publicly? Who are we supporting behind the scenes? And who are the stakeholders there that give us a required outcome? That does what everybody hates, is that you lose the individual. People are getting hurt. Everybody's losing. Everybody feels like they're losing. But there's a macro goal that has to be considered by some human leaders, and it's a lose-lose.
Yeah. And I think like pulling back from that, I mean, the business school, I went to undergraduate business school at Notre Dame. We never like left the US, like in our learning. Like I did not learn anything about international like economics, or it was always US based. And I think business school specifically teaches you those, how do you know the African tribes? Who do you have to,
literally, you're like, what?
You're going
what are we
so
talking
macro.
about?
Like, so
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this map? Like,
Yes.
I don't know any of these places. I have no idea. I would just go to my FIDI San Francisco. I thought I was, that's my whole world, you know?
Totally. It just teaches you to play and think about things on a completely different level, which I think there's obviously problems in, like, even what I just described, there's problems in it because, again, humans matter and the human element and the individual matters. But there's a lot of times, especially in organization, it's just here where, again, lose, humans in your organization are going to suffer, i.e. get laid off, something's going to have reorged, do things they don't want to have to do.
Yeah.
And how do you manage those things in the leadership position?
Definitely.
Which is fascinating.
Very fascinating.
And very difficult.
To wrap up this conversation, I'll give my take as an outsider. You give yours as getting your MBA. When I was a significant other to this process, to my partner who's getting his MBA, I was a little bit like uncomfortable and annoyed in the beginning. I was like, you all get to travel. You all get to like, you're just playing beer pong. Like you don't have a real job, you know, all these things I sometimes still have to, you know, swallow and put down. But then if you open yourself up to it and you see like the true learning that's happening, the beauty in like these ethics classes, the touchy-feely, the people you're meeting, this diverse group of individuals that like you wouldn't meet at your job in sales where you all kind of look the same and you're all selling the same, you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
And so I think as a total outsider, again, just like seeing the beauty in the MBA. And I think I've come around in that.
Yeah. I mean, again, is it necessary? No. It's absolutely not necessary. It's a massive privilege if you can afford to do it.
Totally.
Like I would recommend it. Again, a lot of the folks I graduated with are some of my best friends, will be for forever. They're all doing their own thing and they're awesome. But at the same time, like it is a lot, if you got kids, it's a lot harder.
It's so hard.
Right.
Can I ask one thing? Do you think it is the same as taking 2 years off to run a company either into the ground or to success? Like why get your MBA versus do that and just like apply it?
Yeah, the whole argument is like, I'm getting my MBA live by founding a company and running a company. And for sure, you can skip doing a lot of business school cases by like running a company yourself.
Right. It's not a case now. It's just real life.
Right. It's a very focused MBA. It's a very real life focused MBA. You're not, you're learning a lot of things trial by fire. And the one thing you are missing is the the multiple lenses and multiple perspectives that could aid you should that come up in the first place.
And outside of like you and your co-founder, probably.
Exactly.
You're on
There's
a very
just way
small
more,
company.
you're exposed to way more perspective. But yeah, I mean, look, so many people's founded a company, they don't need an MBA to do it.
Yeah.
You learn a lot doing that. And if that's what you want to do, like absolutely do that. So
love it.
Again, it depends on what you want. There are the night class versions, but you got to be so deliberate about meeting people and being around them. Maybe there is like an individual skill you want to learn. Maybe it is accounting. Go take an accounting class. Totally fine.
Yeah. I have certificates. I got certified Scrum Master. I was a business continuity professional out of school. I got my like ABCP. I've done these things. There were like mini courses and small things. Obviously it's completely different. I'm not networking. A lot of them are online, but if you want a specific skill, I completely agree. Like don't think that you have to get your MBA and take 2 years off of work.
Yeah. I just think intellectual curiosity is never a bad thing. Learning more is never a bad thing. Like taking courses, education, never a bad thing. Reading, never a bad thing.
Never.
Like just, if that's what you want, you should chase that and do that.
Love that.
MBA.
Did you guys want to hear about that for 25 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah. They're smashing that 10 seconds, 10
They're
seconds,
just like,
10 seconds, 10 seconds.
please get to promo demo.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Here are some corporate icebreakers.
Let's go around the horn and everyone rate me physically on a scale of 1 to 10.
Everyone meet in conference room B because we are going to play Naked Twister.
Ross and I were in the conference room and he said, I have to work at Naked Twister.
Left leg blue. Left leg blue. Monica, you're blocking me.
Monica, you are in the way. Okay. Fabulous. Amazing. Let's go around the horn and share our political affiliations and who we're voting for.
Oh, you didn't read my Facebook? You don't follow me on Facebook?
You don't follow me on Facebook? That is a good way to just like break the ice quite quickly.
Know who you're working with.
Know
what they're about.
It's smart.
Okay. We're going to play musical chairs. Loser gets fired.
Perfect. Easy. Tackle me to the ground. This
Meritocracy.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's
going to get physical.
Talent show, except everyone has to sing to the best of their ability a cappella.
That is my absolute nightmare.
Sing for real.
You shoot me down. Okay. But I get her. Okay.
The Smartless podcast does that. Apparently they'll just like break out and be like, sing for real.
That's just.
I find that so funny.
That is hilarious. And it's way funnier if you're good.
Oh my God.
Because then you crush. And that's fucking awesome.
Which we will do a full singing pod one day.
We're going to go around, do 2 truths and a lie, sexual fantasy edition.
Wow. Easy.
I want to know what you're about.
Everyone gets to scroll through the camera roll of the person to their right freely for a minute. Me going to the search bar.
Yeah.
Naked.
Recently deleted. Recently deleted.
I'm a 12-year-old boy. Okay. Those are some easy corporate icebreakers.
I would throw up. Everyone pass the phone to the left.
We're scrolling.
I'd throw up.
Do whatever you want.
I don't even have anything on there, but I'd be like,
yeah, why would you throw up? Like,
what do I have on there?
Reading those corporate icebreakers that we wrote 30 minutes ago was really stressful.
Incredibly stressful.
Do you wish there was something that could like help that?
With the stress?
Something like this ritual stress relief?
Ritual bio series, stress relief.
Totally.
I'm all about these bad boys. One every day. Like I told you, I feel elated.
Ritual suggests taking the stress relief in the morning when cortisol levels are at the highest. All my girlies on cortisol talk, like this was for you, baby girl.
Is cortisol talk a thing?
Yeah.
I believe it. My cortisol's off the charts.
I just feel like I'm juggling so much stuff. And then when Ross gives me a ring and like there's just a lot going on, like I'm just stressed. It's a lot. The juggle is real.
Don't just respond to stress. Get ahead of it with stress relief from Ritual.
Get 25% off your first month at ritual.com/demoted.
That's right. That is ritual.com/demoted for 25% off.
Start Ritual or add stress relief to your subscription today. The only natural transition from our Ritual ad read to now this awesome corporate confession.
We got a callback on our hands right now.
We do have a major callback, and I'm going to have you read it because I read that really long MBA one that was one sentence. So I'm going to have you read this one.
Yes, please. Okay, so for those of you who listened to our wedding episode.
If not, stop this right now. Go listen. Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, smash that subscribe, leave a review, tell your mama. Okay, hey guys, first off, love the podcast. I started in consulting 7 months ago, parentheses, after 7 years in industry. And I found so much laughter, realism, and encouragement from the experiences you both share. I've shared the podcast with my entire engagement at the client I'm at, and everyone is hooked.
Thank you for that context, brother.
In this week's episode about weddings, you mentioned the, quote, guest to not be the bridesmaid that sleeps with the bride's brother. Well, bride's brother here slept with the bridesmaid. The kicker, after the wedding, my sister, parentheses the bride, exclaimed, quote, she probably is just being nice because you're my brother, which I responded, don't care. I just nailed the hot redheaded bridesmaid.
Don't care.
Don't care. Best part of the story, hot redhead bridesmaid and I have now been married for 5 years with 1 kid and another due in September. So I'm hardcore promoting the bridesmaid that sleeps with the bride's brother.
Love that.
If the thirsty bridesmaid meets the thirsty brother, it all works.
And if she's a hot redhead,
I mean, say less.
another one due in September. I mean, congrats.
2 kids. Congratulations. We love a wholesome story.
We love that.
Even if you were both degenerates at your sister's wedding.
Should we get into promo demo?
Let's get promo demo. Do we like it? Do we not like it? These could be anything and everything. We never know because our producer gets really stoned and writes them. So here we go. First one. Promoted, demoted, clapping when the airplane lands.
I can't.
Demoted.
Demoted.
Grow up, Peter Pan.
Grow up, die. Didn't we already do this?
I don't know. Look, if it's a really turbulent flight and you're low key scared, which is me most of the time, and it's like
you think you can let out a little clap?
It's a gnarly one, and we get down. I'm like covered in my drink.
You're gonna do a golf clap.
I might give a golf clap if they're like, we're suspending service immediately. Flight attendants, take your jump seats. Everybody, we're gonna be fine. We've just never seen turbulence like this before. Oh, okay, cool.
You're gonna give a little clap.
I'm gonna give a little. Yeah.
When we touch down, you're gonna.
I won't start the clap. I'll never start the clap.
But if
the clapping's happening and I was pretty sure we were going down, I might join in a little golf clap.
Ross is a plane landing clapper.
No, I'm not.
And I will never let you live that down.
No, I'm not.
You have the clap.
I'm saying I have the clap. There we go. I have the clap.
Promoted or demoted, asking to screen share at the last minute. Oh my God. Hey, could you actually pull it up, share screen? Hang on.
Yeah, let me just
1 second.
See if I can find it here. Which tab is it
This
on?
is going to take a second. Close. I just have
closing iMessage.
2-factor auth.
Yeah, closing Slack where I'm talking shit about you.
Sorry, okay. I'm opening up my Okta app here. I'm ready to share. I'm going to share very quickly.
I probably make an awkward joke. I need 5 minutes heads up before you ask a screen share, Jonathan.
Thanks for throwing me under the bus there, John. That is my worst nightmare. I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that.
I want to know 8 years in advance. I got to have my monitor up. I got to have my phone up with Slack. I got to have a lot of things in play. I'm shopping on Revolve.
It's kind of offensive to ask that.
It's super offensive.
Yeah. Invasive, offensive. It's upsetting.
Like not okay, upsetting.
Yeah.
Demoted.
I'm going to say, actually, no, my screen share is broken.
Sorry, that functionality doesn't exist right now, brother.
Yeah. Last second, demoted.
Demoted.
Promoted, demoted. learning new board games?
So there was this TikTok sound. I don't remember like what the exact sound was, but it was me when my like boyfriend's family, or like me when my boyfriend's explaining how to play a board game, and it's the girl just like, what? And it's like, and then you take the Cynthian card, which obviously trumps the blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't. What do you mean? It's like,
yes. And now if you play this 3 times, it actually changes the entire complexion of your character. See,
that's
like,
you. And that's you
that's
in
me
a nutshell.
Trying to explain Dungeons and Dragons to people.
I can't do it. I don't like new board games. It's really hard for me. I only have room in my head for like Uno and Crazy Eights.
Yeah, we're going to roll a D20 here. Your character actually has advantage. So I'll explain what that means in a second. Just roll.
Yeah. Just roll. We'll play with it. I'll say what it means.
Look, you learn as it goes. It'll make sense when we go. Just go. Just go.
Check your character cards.
I don't know what to
roll.
do.
I don't know. What am I rolling? What am I rolling?
Yeah,
Is there a die? Like, what's going on? There's an 18-sided die.
It's hard. It's always like you got to just like play a couple turns. You got to just like.
Are you a Settlers fan?
Settlers. I mean, yeah. That's like.
Settlers of Catan.
That's like baby back D&D. I mean, yeah, like Settlers is fun when you have a bunch of casuals around.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when I don't want to turn my brain on.
Yeah.
I'll play Settlers.
Yeah, I guess I will. If anyone wants like bricks, I have a bunch of sheep. I'm happy to trade. If you know, you know.
No one knows. No one knows. The Motorhead Dungeons and Dragons crossover, 0.
Yeah, but Catan, I feel like there's some settlers out there.
Promoter, demoted, holding your breath, going through tunnels.
You got to do it. You got to do it.
I do it past cemeteries. I don't do it in tunnels.
Yeah, I don't do it. I do it past cemeteries. I don't do it in tunnels. But you know what annoys me in tunnels? The people who honk in the tunnels.
Why is everyone honking? What's going on?
That's like a thing. People honk in tunnels because it gets like an echo, and then someone will be like dun 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 dun, and they hope someone else goes. Dun, dun.
Yeah, it's like we're not here to play games. Like I just drive through the tunnel.
Just drive.
Because I'm here holding my breath. I'm turning purple. Yeah. So like I just got to get to the end here, boss. Like
I'm singing Jar of Hearts right now. Again,
like,
I'm busy.
I'm picturing 3 bald people. You know when you have the hiccups and you're like, picture 3 bald people and hold your breath.
I've never heard the 3 bald people thing.
It's just like some random thing to think about. Like I don't know. Something that like requires like a lot of thought. And you're holding. Okay.
Picture 3 bald people.
You don't picture 3 bald people.
3 Mr. Cleans. What?
Okay, Uncle Joe.
And then Mr. Clean. And that's the only bald people I know.
All right.
Okay. Promoted, demoted, office birthdays.
We got you a cake.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday. And it goes on for so long.
I can't do it.
And the thing that kills me about the song Happy Birthday, it's that final Happy Birthday. And I'm
it's a hard song. It's a really hard song.
It's that final up note, that high note with Happy Birthday.
As an alto / tenor / bass.
Dig it into my body. Just everything goes slow-mo.
Happy birthday, dear Johnny. Yeah, it's not for me.
You do it. You can sing it.
I mean,
Please sing it quickly like that.
Sing it quickly.
It's like the national anthem before like sports games. Just go fast.
Who just sang a horrible national anthem?
I can't remember her name, but it's for the MLB All-Star game.
And the guys were like chuckling.
Everybody's like laughing. People were like holding their like heart,
So
just like
funny.
dying.
I actually, after watching that clip, I had a nightmare that I had to sing the national anthem and everyone was cracking up at me and I was like really sad.
I think you're going to get a chance one day. I think you're going to get a chance.
For sure. Dunkin' Donuts meets singer. Like, of course I'm going to sing. Okay. Promoted or demoted, wearing a blazer over a t-shirt.
Okay, this feels like a direct attack.
You literally love wearing your blazer over a t-shirt.
I love it.
You love it.
I love it.
We showed up to Spruce the other night. We were getting dinner with actually the Zoom info team. Hi, guys. And Ross shows up. He's like, yeah, I went to Marine Layer, got this kind of new chic linen blazer over my t-shirt.
Oops.
What's up with that? I mean, I think it looks good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would defer to you. You tell me, is it a bad look? Because I'll stop doing it. I just feel like it's like, I don't know, I can take off the blazer and I'm good. Yeah. And I don't have to put on the button down, which is just so annoying.
Yeah, sometimes you could be a little over it, especially in SF. I mean, wearing the blazer is already like a step too much.
It does feel a little bit like I'm a try-hard, like wannabe tech founder who has had no success.
Totally, which isn't.
But that's kind of who I am.
Too far off.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Okay, so blazer over t-shirt. I'll say promoted.
I'm going to promote it. It's all about how you rock things. So, you know.
So that was promoted or demoted, and that was kind of different than it usually is. I don't know why. I just felt a little different, but usually I guess it's just that,
it's
right?
Just that.
Anything crazy that we're thinking. Yeah. So if you're still with us, that was a good batch.
Yeah.
Talon did that in 10 minutes today.
Yeah.
So our producer did that in 10 minutes today.
Yeah.
He's exhausted.
Okay, for the 7 of you who are still listening, thank you.
Leave a review.
Put that like button in a headlock.
Yeah.
You know, smother it.
Bend that like button over.
Hold that pillow over the face of that subscribe button till it doesn't breathe no more. And
oh And tune in next week on
Karate chop that like button in the trachea, and we will see you next week on
Demoted.